Okay, students. Previously, we are completed what is the functions of the brain, what are the divisions of the brain. Okay, brain has three main distinct divisions: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Forebrain has the divisions of, and again, cerebrum, diencephalon. Midbrain has the optic lobes, and hindbrain has the cerebellum and medulla oblongata. Soon after the medulla oblongata, the next part, okay, that is commonly called as pons varoli. Pons varoli. So the spinal cord also started from that particular part onwards. Medulla oblongata continues as a spinal cord. Through the part is commonly called as pons varoli. Very clear, Nina? So this is the structure of the spinal cord here. So what is the main function of the spinal cord? Whereas the parts of brain and spinal cord comes under as a central nervous system. Clear? So the scientists in those days, first of all, so where first of before going to that, what is called the spinal cord? Where it is located here? Spinal cord is located here in the body, the dorsal region and the lumbar region, especially dorsal part of the lumbar region. So this is commonly called as the lumbar region. This is ventral lumbar region. This is dorsal lumbar region. Dorsal part of the one that is present from the starting from the medulla oblongata. Okay, runs through the continuously from the back of the one through the lumbar region and ending with the pelvic region. Okay, so the pelvic region, that is the ending part of the one. Through this completely, there are totally 33 spines are present here. Okay, now so this one is arranging clearly. Okay, every pair of the one, there is a separate neuron, there is a separate nerves. These are commonly called as the spinal nerves. You know already clearly. The neurons arising from the spinal cord is commonly called as the spinal nerves. Okay, which are 31 pairs of spinal nerves are present here. Okay, last two spines doesn't have anyone. That should be also connecting with the particular pelvic region. Okay, that should also coccyx and last part of the spinal cord clear. So these spinal nerves are completely connecting with the body parts clearly itself now. So these spinal nerves can also control several kinds of actions, which are completely called as reflex actions, mostly now. So in the first of all, some of the scientists don't believe. So first of all, the Greek scientists are completely believed that brain is the chief organ, brain is the main organ to control the total functions of the body itself now. Okay, so the scientists of 16th and 17th centuries. Okay, so the scientists called Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Bell. These two scientists, for example, Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Bell, these two scientists don't believe the concept of the controlling functions of the brain, of controlling functions of the body, it is under control by the brain. That particular concept is completely erroneous. They believed that the scientists of the 16th and 17th centuries, roughly, Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Bell, they completely dispute this particular statement because they have taken a small experimental animal. In experimental animal, even the brain is removed. Even the brain has been removed from the experimental animal. They lightly touched the spinal nerves. Even the lightly touches the spinal nerves, the particular experimental animal can also show the violent movements. So, what is the concept of the Greek physiologists? First of all, they have said that particularly complete the brain can control the total functions of the one. Even the absence of the brain, there is no chance of any movements in the brain. This particular concept is disproved by the Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Bell. How it is possible means even the brain, even the experimental animal brain has been removed. Then the touch of the spinal nerves, the animal, the experimental animal would like to show, would like to give a particular responses. Okay, switched violently, even the spinal nerves are even touched clearly now. When the animal was died completely, when the spinal nerves are pinched off with a pencil, with a particular needle or any kind of a small distraction, when the spinal nerves are degenerated, even when the experimental animal completely was dead. So the spinal nerves can control even the absence of the brain itself. No. So the spinal nerves can control the functions of the body itself. No. So it can also takes a major role in the body, voluntary, of course, sometimes the involuntary movements also. No. Clearly now. Okay. So that's why the neurons which comes under this particular part is commonly called as peripheral neurons or peripheral nerves. Okay. So peripheral nervous system totally has some divisions, especially this peripheral nervous system has the divisions of 43 pairs of neurons. Already you know clearly 12 pairs of cranial nerves and 31 pairs of spinal nerves. These two comes under as a peripheral nervous system. So before going to the peripheral nervous system, still some more scientists of 19th century, okay, there are still some more scientists in 19th century. They also from the France and remaining Scotland also, these scientists can also prove that particularly the same concept of Leonardo da Vinci and Charles Bell. Okay, see that this is the TS of the spinal cord clearly. This one has the two horns, dorsal horn and a ventral horn. Dorsal part and ventral part. The neurons arising from the dorsal horn is commonly called as the dorsal neurons, and also from the ventral is called ventral neurons. So the dorsal part has a separate neuron. These are commonly called as the sensory neurons. Already told you know this is commonly called as the efferent neurons, AFFERENT, sensory neurons. Okay, these neurons which connecting to the ventral part of the one is called as the motor neurons. Okay, so these two neurons also connecting with this. Okay, they are also taken the scientists in the 19th century. So these are called as even the particular one sensory neurons are completely cut off. For example, in the experimental animal, when they touch the motor neurons, the animal can also show oblivious movements. Even the spinal, even the ventral horn is completely distracted or dismantled. Even the presence of the motor part, of course, in the ventral part, even the neurons present in the ventral part, even the slightly touch the animal, the experimental animal shows the complete movements itself now. So whatever it may be, the motor neurons, of course, the ventral part has the neurons can also shows the a kind of a voluntary movements itself now clearly now. So the final theme of the particular concept is called as the spinal nerves, which connecting to the particular ventral horn of the spinal cord. They can also shows the particular movements of the body itself now. So even the absence of the brain, spinal cord can also controls the movements of the one. Okay. So the next part of the one, clear? So that next scientists, okay, Charles Bell and Francois Mazzandi. Okay, these two scientists proved this particular one. Okay, along with this particular Charles Bell here, the Charles Bell is not one. Stephen Hales. So the concept of this one is completely common equal now. Do you know who is called Leonardo da Vinci? He is a world topmost painter. The painting Mona Lisa also drawn by the Leonardo da Vinci. He is not only a painter but also a scientist too. Clear? So the Charles Bell from France and Francois Mazzandi from another countries. These two scientists proved this particular experiment also. So what is the clear functions of peripheral nervous system? PNS. So these actions which are under control by the peripheral nervous system is completely called as reflex actions. So what are called reflex actions? So for example, we people are studying, we people are reading a kind of a novel or any textbook or any kind of a notes, for example, during the night time especially, when the light is on, suddenly the power is gone, the power gone. Within fraction of minutes and seconds, we can't able to see the particular book, what the letters, what the printed matter is present in the book itself now. In this particular time, the part of the eye, do you know that is commonly called as pupil and iris. Do you know what is called the pupil and iris? A small division, a small part of the eye, which is like a small dot-like structures, which surrounds the dot-like structure is commonly called as the pupils. Iris and the dot-like structure is commonly called pupil. These two also work like a diaphragm of a camera. The movement of the pupil and iris also work like a diaphragm of the camera. Do you know what the cameraman do? What the cameraman takes the photograph itself now. When the light is dim, he can automatically increase the brightness. When the light is very high, he can automatically control the excess amount of lights by making the adjustments presenting in the camera itself now. That part is called as the diaphragm. At the same time, this is commonly called as the natural diaphragm. The function of the pupil and iris also works as a natural diaphragm. So they can control the excess amount of light as a lighter one. When the light is not available completely, they can also increase their size. So for example, when the dim light is available, we can also make like this. How it is, how can it be possible to see? In that particular time, the pupil and iris gradually increases in diameter. So in this particular activity, when the light is gone, our pupil and diameter can gradually increase in its size to accommodate more amount of light to pass in, to observe the objects what is in our surroundings. Within 2 minutes or 3 minutes, when the light came once again, and automatically our pupil and iris can gradually constricted to control the excess amount of light to pass in. So to adjustments, when the light is not available, they would like to get into the high amount of light. When the light is too high, they can automatically constrict it to control the excess amount of light to getting into the iris and pupil itself now. So this kind of movement of the one is also working like a diaphragm of the camera. So this kind of a movement is also under control by the PNS, peripheral nervous system, mostly. So when the light is not available like this, so during the night time when we are walking on the roadside, our consciousness is too high rather than the normal time. It is 10 times and 30 times and 40 times is too conscious, because our vision is too efficient, because the light is not available clearly now. That's why in this particular time, the pupil and iris, at the same time, the cells present in the eye is commonly called as the cones and rods also. Especially during the light time, rods can also actively working here now, because they are also working efficiently in the during the dull light or dim light now. Cones can also distinguish the colors of the one. Okay, so these are the clear divisions of the particular one. Pupil and iris also working as a diaphragm of the camera. They can also control just like as a peripheral nervous system. Okay, so to continuation of this topic now, next one is called a separate kind of a control mechanism that is commonly called as insulin. Okay, story of insulin. In the year of 1868, the scientist called Paul Langerhans. Paul Langerhans, he is the professor of pathology of Freiburg University, Germany. First of all, in the year of 1868, the scientist called as the Paul Langerhans. Okay, he is the professor in pathology. Do you know what is called pathology? Pathology means it's a branch of biology dealing with the diseases and its particular conditions. How this particular disease is transmitted to the person. What kind of the symptoms of the particular disease one. This particular branch is commonly called as the pathology. He is a professor of pathology in the Freiburg University of Germany. When he is observing, when he is observing, the part of the one is called as the pancreas. Do you know where is called pancreas? Okay, see that? A small part of the digestive system here I would like to draw you for your convenience. This part is called as the stomach here. The U-shaped turning is called as the duodenum. On this part of the one there is a liver. Okay, we people are no need to draw this liver now. From here now, a small leaf-like structure. This part is called as the pancreas. The largest internal part of the body is called as the liver. The second largest internal part of the body is called as the pancreas. You know the functions of the liver already. The liver can also secrete the bile. Okay, leave it I say. No need. So here, this is just below the stomach. Also presenting on the left side. Just below the stomach, a leaf-like organ. This is also called as the second largest internal part of the body itself. While he is observing while the Paul Langerhans observing, a separate kind of cells, a special kind of cells are presenting in this one. The cells which are entirely different than the remaining cells of the body. Okay, that's why he also named these particular cells is commonly called as islets. Okay, according to Latin language, the word is deriving from the Latin language. According to Latin language, islets means islands. These cells, what Paul Langerhans observed, is entirely different than the remaining cells of the body. These are looking like islands of the one, entirely separated cells. Okay, so these cells are first of all observed by the Langerhans. That's why the particular cells present in the pancreas is commonly called as islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. The cells presenting in the liver is called as the that is called as particular cells presenting in this one hepatocytes, whereas the cells presenting in the pancreas is commonly called as islets of Langerhans. Islets of Langerhans. So these cells can secrete a kind of a secretion that should be entirely different than the remaining one. This particular secretion directly enters into the part is commonly called as the duodenum, a part of the small intestine. Okay, the secretion of the pancreas enters into the duodenum. This is commonly called as the pancreatic secretion. Pancreatic secretion, which may also take a major role in the process of digestion, and also one more kind of reaction is commonly called, it is also acting like a hormones. Okay, so this is commonly called as pancreatic secretion. A part of the one here, the pancreas also acting like a two types of functions, that is commonly called as a mixed gland, because the pancreas can also acting like a both exocrine and also the endocrine. Do you know what is the difference between the exocrine and endocrine? So for example here, exocrine part and endocrine part. Exocrine part means any part of the body, the secretion of this particular part one directly, I mean they can also discharge the secretion through a separate duct, through a separate tube. That is commonly called as exocrine part of the one. Whereas the endocrine part of the one means the secretions of these parts, these organs can directly discharge their secretions without having any tubes. The secretions of the endocrine glands are directly discharged into the blood itself now, without having any tubes, without having any ducts. That's why these glands are also commonly called as the ductless glands. Whereas the part of the pancreas can also acting as a both exocrine and also the endocrine. That's why the pancreas is also called as a mixed gland. We people are known to discuss about the exocrine part of the one. Okay, so the endocrine part of the pancreas secretes a kind of a separate secretion that is commonly called as insulin. What the secretion is called as insulin. Okay, in Latin language, of course, in Latin language, insula means island, means a separate secretion, a kind of a separate secretions. Okay, this particular insulin secreted from the pancreas can also make a particular function in the body, which can also maintains the blood glucose levels in a normal levels. Glucose levels of the animal, glucose levels of the human being, glucose levels of the organisms is also in stable condition by secretion of this particular insulin. Whereas Paul Langerhans also done a small experiment. He also taken an experimental animal as a dog one. For example, when experimental animal dog was taken, from the dog, the pancreatic part of the one is also tied off. The duct, do you know, this is commonly called as the pancreatic duct. The pancreatic duct is automatically tied off. Even the pancreatic duct is completely tied with a thread. The glucose levels of the particular experimental animal is completely stable. They understood clearly, even the pancreatic duct is completely tied with a thread. The part of the one that is commonly called as endocrine, the secretions of the particular pancreas can also secrete directly into the blood itself now. So the glucose levels are completely stable condition in the experimental animal. When the pancreatic part is completely removed from the animal, the pancreas is completely removed from the experimental animal, then the glucose levels are gradually increases. So even the pancreatic part is completely tied with a thread. The exoendocrine part of the pancreas can also secrete the secretion directly into the blood itself now. When the pancreas completely removed from the experimental animal, the glucose levels is gradually increases in the experimental animal itself now. Then a few years later, after 10 and 50 few years later, some more scientists, Banting, Best and MacLeod, Toronto, Banting, Best and MacLeod, further in the coming years, they also extracted the insulin from the animals. This particular insulin is directly given as intravenously to the particular person. Even the pancreas is completely absent. Even the pancreas is completely absent, the insulin is directly given as intravenously, that the glucose levels of the experimental animal is automatically steady. I mean, of course, that is in the normal conditions. So whatever it may be, insulin plays an important role, okay, in the levels of glucose in a normal conditions or normal levels, clear itself now. Okay. So the next one, insulin. This can plays an important role, okay, by making also glucose levels in a normal conditions. Okay. So the next one, hormones. What are called hormones? So that other chemical coordination. So in this topic, we people are learned about the hormones. Okay. Do you know what is called hormone? In the year of 1905, an English scientist, Starling, an English scientist means he belongs to Britain. England scientist Starling used the word first of all, the hormone. The word hormone is deriving from the Greek language. I told already previously, our biological science terminology is mostly deriving from either Greek or Latin language. Okay, nearly 90%, more than 90% of the one. According to Greek language, the hormone means to impel. To impel means to stir it. Okay, to make it, to push it automatically. To impel means that particular action can gradually increased depending upon the condition itself now. See that in other chemical coordination, we people are going to discuss about the hormones. What is meant by hormone? Mostly the enzymes are responsible for several kinds of digestive and remaining biochemical actions. Whereas the hormones are also important for a particular kind of actions which might be as a growth or development, or sometimes this can also be involved in several kinds of voluntary and involuntary actions. Sometimes the emotions can automatically under control by the hormones itself now. Okay. The first of all, during the year of 1905, the scientist called England scientist Starling used the word hormone. According to the word is deriving from the Greek language. According to Greek language, the hormone means to impel. Okay. See that. So here we are going to discuss about the separate hormone is commonly called as adrenaline. Do you know where is the adrenal glands? On the top of the kidney. We discussed previous in the fourth lesson, excretion. On the top of the kidneys, one pair of adrenal glands are present, just like a small caps. Okay, the adrenal part of the one, they have the two divisions: adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex and adrenal medulla. Adrenal cortex and secrete separate hormones, and adrenal medulla also secrete separate hormones. So generally, This particular adrenal gland secretes the hormone is commonly called as adrenaline. Adrenaline. So what is the importance of the adrenaline hormone? Before going to this, a small example our day-to-day life activities, chemical coordination. Do you know the cockfightings? When the two dogs observing a small cloth piece, they would like to play with the particular cloth piece. For example, when the two cocks are opposing in opposite directions, they would like to fight each other. During the cockfightings, the persons can also stir. They can automatically stir the cock, especially during the fighting time. They can gradually impel their hormones. They can gradually steering their hormones. Okay, they're ready to making their particular conditions commonly called as the fighting itself now. Clear? So this particular one can also gradually increasing by the hormone is commonly called as adrenaline. Adrenaline can also increasing the particular condition is commonly called as an anger. But actually, there is no separate anger between this particular species of the animals, either the cocks or any dogs respectively. So we people are ready to stir, making itself to increasing the percentage of the adrenaline. Okay, within a short time, these animals would like to fight each other by increasing the particular hormone is commonly called as adrenaline. Adrenal. So this hormone is also commonly called as fight or flight hormone. Fight or flight hormone. So what is the importance of this particular hormone is commonly called as either the person would like to fight. As the percentage of the adrenal hormone is gradually increasing, the person would like to fight. As the percentage of adrenal hormone is gradually decreases, the person would like to flight, means compromise. So to increasing levels of the adrenaline, the person would like to fight, means aggressiveness. The person can gradually getting their aggressiveness in opposite persons. Whereas the percentage of the adrenal hormone is gradually decreases, the person can automatically getting compromise. So these two the hormones can also make this particular two conditions also. So the levels of the adrenaline gradually increasing in the blood levels. The person's blood pressure can also dilation of the pupil can gradually increases. See that particular two conditions here, Lena. Dilation of the pupil, dilation of pupil increases heartbeat rate, anger, and again goosebumps. Okay, frightenedness. See that? As the levels of the adrenaline hormone is gradually increases, first of all, the dilation of the pupil, I told just before you, dilation of the pupil gradually increases. It might be also coordination depending upon the hormone is commonly called as adrenaline. When we are getting the anger, hey, what happened like this? For example, here, we can gradually getting the anger on the opposite person by increasing the dilation of pupil. That is a kind of a stimulation response automatically. And again, increasing the heartbeat rate. As in that particular time, our heartbeat rate is gradually increases. In this particular time, our body getting too sensitiveness. Even a small type of a condition, even a small type of a sensation, our body is ready to respond. I understand. That can also followed by the anger and also the frightenedness, fear, and also just like as the anger and fear. These two also controlled by these two also followed by the increasing heartbeat and also our body getting the goosebumps. Hair projections presenting on our skin can also getting the erect conditions. These all conditions can also be getting by the increasing the levels of the adrenaline hormone. But actually, what is the importance, what is the need of the adrenaline means the percentage of the adrenaline can increasing in the body means it might be in further conditions, in further days, it might be have a chance to heart failures and heart attacks. Sir, adrenal hormone is not important in our body means, sir, adrenal hormone is important. But in some conditions that should be need, but in some rare condition, in some conditions, the production, the increasing levels of the adrenaline hormone is might be a low levels is compulsory. When the person's having more stress and strain, when those who are paining this particular one, the levels of the adrenaline is gradually increases. It might be in further days, maybe a chances for heart failures automatically, clearly. So the levels of the adrenaline is gradually decreases, so that can be controlled by our movements. Some of the persons can maintain this, but some of the persons can automatically control these particular conditions. Otherwise it might be have a several health disorders also in the coming days. Okay, this is simply commonly called as our feedback mechanism also, clearly now. Okay, so the next hormones of the body, what are the remaining conditions, remaining hormones of the functions of the body, endocrine glands and remaining exocrine glands, we people have to discuss in the coming topic. Okay, thank you.